Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah rahman rahim. Um, Today is April 18th, 2022. It is 1:28 p.m. Atlanta time, East Coast time. Um, one day after Easter, 2022. So 4 years since I started making these videos. And update for for this time frame is the big part is we completed our course of African philosophy, training. We had a graduation ceremony. I just got back from Philadelphia yesterday. So High Executive Council 2022 for the UNI ACL was held in Philadelphia, and there we were able to um, provide certificates to the graduates of this class. But as I said on the last update, that was my main focus, was um, teaching or learning this stuff, learning the information, and instructing the information. Just wanted to provide an update that we completed the first class, um, provided certificates, and looking forward to the future, teaching more. Other than that, I just want to give a couple quick updates, some things that I've looked at, and I think I may have forgotten to mention. But first was the vaccine, my position on the vaccine. I'm anti-vaccine, at least right now in 2022. I feel like this virus that's been going on has just constantly been mutating, and they haven't really given it enough time to find a good vaccine for it. So it's like while they're developing the vaccine, the bacteria is mutating. Um, but yeah, just not confident in the process of how they came about it, and more confident in my natural immune system. So I'm not out running around coughing on people. Usually I'm the only one with a mask on when I'm in public spaces, but I'm, the one that everybody's supposed to be worried about because I'm not vaccinated. But still practice, everyday hygiene, washing hands, keeping distance, antisocial anyway, so it don't hurt me. I actually like it. So I just wanted to offer my position on the vaccine, and document that for history. A couple other things is that I want to touch on was the concept of things being sacred within certain communities, and specifically my community, Black community. And when you think about what is sacred, and by sacred I mean what are some things that only apply to us, and we don't allow anyone else to take advantage of it. A perfect example would be like Juneteenth. That was specifically an African American type of celebration. Um, but as of the acceptance into as a federal holiday, I think it'll become a multicultural celebration. But even our churches, churches open their doors to different people. Most of our organizations open their doors to different people, religions, nationalities. So it's just something to think about. I have a couple solutions as to what I think, Garveyite type solutions, but it's just something to think about. Whether you're part of the Black community or another community, what is sacred within your community that only your community, can contribute in, because other cultures have these things, but Black Americans don't seem to have these things. Another thing I want to touch on was the concept of creation versus consumption. In the social media age that we're in, things kind of break down into two forms. It's either entertainment or education. Pretty much, either you're being entertained or you're being educated, or you're entertaining others or you're educating others. And in the same token, it's from an economic standpoint, there's a balance between creation and consumption. And you have to look at yourself and take a step back to make sure that you're not too one-sided, and specifically on the side of consumption and entertainment. You need to balance that with creation and education. So if all we're doing is consuming entertainment, you're going down a tough road, in my opinion, because you're becoming dependent upon others doing things for you. If you're not creating what you're consuming, what happens when the creator stops producing that? And whether that doesn't mean like God or anything, but say you like a certain coffee at Starbucks, and they just on that day they don't have your toffee foam or something like that. Like you become tied to consuming what someone else creates, and in a sense you become their slave. But that's a whole nother topic. And then on the side of education and entertainment, when you look at social media, things like that, even all forms of propaganda, whether it's newspaper, web page, or whatever, most of what people are going after can be broken down into either a form of entertainment or a form of education. Either people are trying to be enlightened and empower themselves, or they're trying to be distracted. Whether it's and that's not there's nothing wrong with that. You need a good comedy every once in a while. Um, you need a good basketball game, football game, or something to balance political warfare. Is the best way I can think of it. But if your diet consists of a large consumption of entertainment, over a long period of time, you will find yourself being relegated um, to positions of a follower, because you won't really have anything to provide other than expertise on what you've consumed. So, all right, that's that. Next thing is people that we surround ourselves with. And when you're trying to build teams with people, whether it's a marriage, a family, a football team, or organization, um, you got to find out. You'll find out that you can't really mix different types of people too much, and I don't mean that in the race sense, but just in a sense of personality characteristics and discipline. Couple things is time management for one. Like someone that is very busy and someone that wastes a lot of time. You can't put them on the same team, because if the busy person um, starts to adapt to, or if they're both in the same situation, and they're the lazy person or the person that does not have time management, or time constraints, is leading, so to speak, then time will go by, things won't be done, and the person that does have things that need to be done within a certain time, they're going to be held accountable. But the person that doesn't have any constraints won't be held accountable, won't have any consequences. But the team, as a joint unit, they won't be able to progress. And one person is going to be, punished, while the other person, they maybe even be too ignorant to know why the other person's being punished, but they'll just continue on doing the same thing. And from a same thing applies from a confidence aspect. So you can't have confident people around unconfident people. It just doesn't mix. The unconfidence will wear off on the confident people before the confidence wears off on the unconfident people. But you got to be on the same page. And if you are a confident type of individual, you can't surround yourself with unconfident people. If you are a person that has things to do in certain amounts of time, you can't surround yourself with individuals that don't have anything to do in a certain amount of time. It just doesn't mix. And then the last thing I was going to touch on is the three things that you need to have, the three things that I would encourage a young person to focus on if they wanted some sense of freedom to be able to apply their skills in whatever field of charity specifically they see fit. So, um, when you're 35, 40 years old, what things will you need? Um, what three things? It's actually four, I guess. Four things will you need to be able to be effective and to be able to freely give charity. And the things that you're gonna need is free time. That's one thing. Because if you don't have time, you're gonna be too busy to do charity work or to help other people help themselves or to teach a class or anything like that. You won't have time to do it. You have to have the intelligence to do it. Obviously, you need to know what you're doing if you're trying to help other people. You need to have the intelligence to do it. Three is resources, whether it's financial or if you're trying to start a garden, you need tools. You need those resources. And one thing, the fourth thing that I forgot, but I'm glad I remembered, is health. That's always important. You have to have the health and the physical fortitude to be able to accomplish the task. You may have all the, and that's what, yeah, because older people have time, they may have the intelligence, they may have the resources, but they don't have the health. Younger people, they have the time, they don't have the intelligence, they probably don't have the resources, but they do have the health. Um, so people in their young adult ages, that's when you don't have children. Right before you have children, you have time. Coming out of school, and maybe a young professional, you have the intelligence. Even a seasoned professional, you have the intelligence. Um, yeah, becoming a seasoned professional, that's when you get the resources because you get well paid for what you provide and what you do. And then the health is, that's a personal, it's like an X factor. You know, no one can guarantee health, but it is required. And I use health as kind of yeah, it's the foundation, you know. But I know that when I'm in good health, that's the time to act. That's the time to work because you're not always going to be in that position. So the key thing is to try to put yourself in a position to know or anticipate when your health will be good, especially for a duration of time. And that's what working out and eating good, and eating right is all about. And fasting, we're supposed to be fasting right now. That's what that's all about, is getting your health in a position to where you've got a window of good health. But you got to create these windows. And within that, once you do have that window, you have to have, within that window, you have to have free time. But when that window comes, you also already have to have the intelligence. You can't wait till the window's here and then try to acquire the intelligence. And you also can't wait till the window's here to try to acquire the resources. So the resources have to be somewhat in place. Intelligence has to be somewhat in place, even though you can learn and you can acquire resources within the process. Time is, time and health, those are X factors. You have them. It, you never really realize when you have them until you lose them. That's when you realize, like, oh, I had time, or oh, I had health. But those are hard to be proactive with. But when you are in a position of, when you feel good, you feel healthy, and you have free time, you should be doing something. And the only way to be effective at that time is to prepare yourself with intelligence and resources. So that's my message to the youth. Things are going well. Big vision for the future. And I don't know if there's anything else. I'm just trying to. Oh, yeah, one more thing. off the ball, but just want to let y'all know, you know what I mean? For those that came with the Malcolm, still on Malcolm, still trying to do the work of Malcolm. Oh, yeah, and that brings me to my final point about my audience. I was supposed to say something about my audience. This information is open for everybody, those that wish to have it. But as I've said in previous messages, this is for my community, specifically black youth, black male youth, my progeny. But I don't discriminate against anyone, and no religious or racial barriers in regards to intelligence and information. So, yeah, no hate. That's all I want to say. But there is a lot of love for my people. That's all I got. See y'all later. Peace out, and catch y'all update 4.5, inshallah.